but since we are talking about the earnings, let's also get a check on Symphony, where the revenues have gone up by about 33%. And if you look at the profit figure, that's been a bit flattish. So there's no growth on the bottom line front. The profits have come in at about 46.6 crore. But let's get a better fine print on the numbers. We're joined by Mr. Achal Bakeri, who's a CMD at the company Symphony. Hi, Mr. Bakeri. Good morning to you, and thanks very much for joining us on BTVi. Well, I'm looking at your earnings. There's been a contraction in terms of the operating margins this time around. Could you take us why the margins contracted during the quarter?
Sure. This quarter we introduced a new range of products called the Touch range. Because of it was a new range, it was launched at an introductory price, and the volumes that we got from this range were much greater than what we had sort of anticipated, and because of that, the top line was affected, and the price and the bottom line was affected. Moreover, we also spent far more on advertising in this quarter than in the past, because we had launched a brand new campaign, so there was a huge production cost as well as the campaign, the media cost as well. Typically, one would defer this over a few years, but we chose to expense it out in 1 year itself. So that's why the advertising expense also was something like 10 times higher than what it was in the same quarter last year. So all told, the net profit has been affected because of these two reasons.
All right, Mr. Bakeri, since the ad expenses have been higher during the quarter, it's up 10 times versus the corresponding quarter. So you're saying it's a one-off, and do you think the ad expenses in the coming quarters will stabilize?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let me talk about the air cooler segment of your business, where the revenues have grown 35%, but the EBIT margins have come down substantially for that to about 27% versus a 42%. What's the reason behind the same?
Like I said before, we've launched this new range of products at an introductory rate, and we sold far more of this range than we had anticipated. So, the response to this range was overwhelming. So we were sort of caught off guard. Now, we could have changed the pricing mid-season and destabilize the market, but we chose to sort of maintain status quo and, maintain a sort of stable, predictable sort of a pricing regime, and thereby took a hit on the margins.
Correct. But tell us, if the numbers have been impacted because of new products, if you remove the performance of the new products, then the numbers look good?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Talk to us a little bit more on the region-wise breakup. The India revenues are up 42%, and the international revenues have gone up by 4%. Do we see more orders coming from the international market in FY18?
Yes. The international business has also been growing. The thing is, what you are seeing is a consolidation of our China, Mexico business as well, whereas international sales from India has been growing at the same rate as sales within the country. Exports has been growing, and they will continue to grow, whereas our China and Mexico operations are not growing at the same pace as India. So when you club that in international business, the growth sort of moderates out. But if you exclude China and Mexico, India growth is fairly good.
Sir, if I look at the air cooler segment, there is a lot of competition which comes from the unorganized market. I just want to check, what's the market share? Have you witnessed any kind of blip in terms of the market share?
The unorganized sector seems to have been impacted this summer. Now, it could be because of demonetization. It could be because of the impending GST. It could be because of consumers shifting from unbranded to branded products. So it could be a variety of reasons. It could be any of these or all of these. So within the organized sector, our market share in the past has been about 50%. This year, I would say that we have a sort of sense from the market that our market share has actually increased this year. Although since we don't really have reliable numbers, I wouldn't really sort of say that. But it would be at least 50%, if not more.
All right, so 50% is the market share in the air cooler segment. You also mentioned about GST. I just want to touch upon that point. Well, there are talks that GST could be implemented from July 1st. Tell us, how does that impact a company like yours? Would we be seeing shift from the unorganized to organized market? And in lieu of that, your market share could even go higher by 50%.
Yes, we expect that. I said that before, that GST should be, beneficial to Symphony and other companies like us, and it should certainly, see an increase in our sales and market share.
Right. And what's the GST neutral rate for Symphony?
It's almost the same. I mean, it would be about, we expect GST to be about 18% on Symphony, and the GST neutral rate is more or less the same as that. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bakeri, thanks very much for joining us today, and we wish you all the best for the coming quarters as well. That's the management of Symphony. Well, clearly, he's highlighted that the numbers have been impacted this time around because of the new product launches which came about, and that's the reason you saw the ad expenses going up by nearly 10 times in the March quarter. The stock has seen some kind of selling pressure coming about. It's down 4%, but let's not forget, it is a stock which has given very good returns in last 3 years, and the valuations also look pretty rich. The trailing price to earnings for Symphony is currently 60 times. Well, on that note, we'll slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. Up next, we will connect with Prateek Agarwal.